Hey guys, sorry I haven't posted in a while. I just figured I'd do another one of these Sketchbook Tour videos. I guess I'd just show you what I've been working on lately, just some different sketches, different doodles I've been doing. Mostly I'm trying to focus on different portraits, working on facial expressions, um, detailed shading, some more action poses like last time, but mostly just portraits here. Starting off as a portrait of a friend of mine a while ago. I really like the shading here, the high contrast shadows, so I was trying to capture that. A lot of long flowing hair on these two, so I was really trying to get a lot of detail in the hair, especially girls with a lot of different highlights, things like that. I always find drawing glasses to be hard, mostly trying to keep the symmetry. One thing that's interesting, I've heard some artists say, especially digital artists, one thing that can happen, one mistake you can make is getting too used to looking at your drawing for a while. And you won't realize that after a while you're drawing something crooked, or something is a little off center, or maybe things just aren't lined up properly. Where, say for instance, like you're drawing the eyes, you don't realize one eye is higher or lower than the other. And what can prevent that is if you flip the canvas, you get used to looking at a certain direction, and when you mirror it, you flip the canvas, you see it from a different perspective, and you realize your mistake and correct it. So it's something that's actually happened to me a lot, and sometimes even still make the mistake, so helps me avoid that. But yeah, just working on different expressions. One thing I always really want to draw is teeth. It's very easy if you don't draw teeth right. You kind of run the risk of making someone look snaggletooth. So really try to do the fine detail. And I always start out with a lighter pencil. For those of you who don't know, there are different degrees of graphite that have a certain intensity where if you typically have to press harder with a lighter pencil to get a darker mark, and you want it to press as hard with, say, a 6B, which is one of the darker pencils, to get a dark, bold mark. And typically when you're just sketching, doing a rough sketch, just trying to get the line work or the basic shape down, you want to use a 2H, which is going to be a lighter pencil. So you start with that light sketch. And that's also for if you're doing lighter shading or maybe just lighter skin tones. Whatever you're drawing is supposed to be lighter, you typically want to use a 2H. And when you want to go bold, you want to do bold shadows or really hard lines, you want to use the 6B. That's usually confident. That's usually at the point when you're confident in your line work and you want to actually lay down the hard shadows. And really have figured out what the darkest point of your drawing is going to be. You really want to try to map out. That's usually what I try to do with my 2H, is just map out the areas where I know I'm going to shade the darkest. And just use the different pencils in a different way where different areas require that harder or lighter shading. And believe me, there are people out there doing way better than I do, have a much deeper understanding of it. But yeah, I've just been trying to work on that recently. Here's some more Zelda stuff. By the way, can you tell I'm a Zelda nerd yet? Just stuff from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Ganondorf's Tears of the Kingdom design, which looks amazing, by the way. Just amazing how much time they put into these new designs. Speaking of art styles, I have to say, like, if anybody asks me what's your favorite art style for Zelda, I have to say the definitive art style for me for Zelda has to be either Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, or Breath of the Wild. Wind Waker, like, personally for me, I see the charm to it. I know when the game first came out, there was a lot of controversy when, in 2001, the trailer was released, and they saw what looked like essentially an updated version of the graphics from Ocarina of Time, updated art style from Ocarina of Time, and everybody was so excited for Zelda on the GameCube. And of course, next year, infamously, when Wind Waker was revealed, everybody was like, what happened to the original trailer? And everybody was just so upset that it had a more childish look to it, more cartoony look. And of course, recently now, people, of course, love Wind Waker. Always thought it was a great game, but never really cared for the art style. But now I think people see the charm in the lighter, more cartoony anime look to it rather the serious look that we were used to from Ocarina of Time. And I appreciate Wind Waker's art style. I like it for what it is, for that one game. But for me, the definitive art style is either Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess. When I picture the huge lore and the fantasy world of Zelda, and just how intense and how adventurous and fantastic it is, I just think of the more intense anime style of either Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess. That's just me. That's just what I think of when I think definitive Zelda. Like if they were to make a movie or an anime series, that's just how I feel Zelda should look. Anyway, there's more. I generally just draw Nintendo stuff. There's Mario, Luigi. Pretty much got me started drawing, actually, was Nintendo. Back in 96, of course, when the 64 first came out, my sister got it for her birthday. And, of course, came with Mario 64. And she and I would both play it together. We would pass the controller around. She kind of got me started playing games. I would watch her play, and then I kind of picked it up myself. And, of course, the games back then came with the instruction manuals, and I would flip through them as a kid. Back then, they had the old renders, the old CG renders of the characters, where then, CG was in its early stages. And they had these really kind of soft-looking models, where nothing was really heavily textured. So the models had this really soft, almost clay-like appearance to them, and that just looked so amazing to me as a kid. Just because the idea that, of course, they couldn't put these kind of graphics in the game, so a lot of things were implied with low polygons that were used in the 64 games at the time. So when you saw the artwork, or when you saw the renders, CG renders, it's the idea that, well, this is what we would make the game look like if we could. But yeah, I just thought those models were so cool looking as a kid. And then, of course, Ocarina of Time, instead of using CG, using renders for the characters, they would use actual official artwork. So you had that anime style from Ocarina of Time, which also just blew me away. And I remember going to the store and seeing the player's guides alongside the games, and just wanting the player's guide, not even for tips to beat the game, but just to see the artwork. And that's just really what inspired me as a kid. I remember using the Ocarina of Time artwork for references, of course, when I was a kid. It kind of got me started drawing. It got me serious. But had me get serious into it. I'm sorry I'm spending so much time on one page, by the way. Just kind of rambling on. But, yeah, just working on some Mario stuff here. Different expressions for Bowser. It's got a little bit from the movie. But yeah, it's just amazing to see, like, the early CG models, say for Super Mario 64, how simplistic they were back then, and used a lot of simple shapes, and how we moved on to something like the Mario movie, or modern games, where you can see the stitching in Mario's cap, or every hair on his mustache, or denim in his overalls. It's just amazing. Just the artistry. There's some models, just things I've looked up on Pinterest, where they just have these amazing, gorgeous models. There's really been a lot of help for me with like drawing anatomy or different facial expressions. And of course, capturing fabric, different wrinkles in fabric, depending on how a person moves. You have to take into account what are they wearing, what's the material, different ways they move, the way their body twists, how is the material going to behave. You have to take that into account. Practicing things like that really helps me get a feel for that. Just how different material behaves and how it will look on a person. And of course, different hairstyles and stuff too. There's so much to take into account when you're drawing a person. So it can be so daunting, but believe me, I still have a lot to learn, but at least this has been good practice. Again, we have a long flowing hair here. It's more dynamic shadows, different angles, different expressions. Probably not going to talk too much through these. Another sketch of my friend. I think this is something she was doing for a photo shoot. She's a musician, so she usually has different photo shoots for her albums. started drawing the hair, it whips in different areas, different hairstyles or different highlights. Which is, like I said earlier, I like to try to map out sort of where the points of shading are. I'll take and draw lightly, just the basic shape of the hair, almost as if the hair is one piece. I don't even focus on strands yet in my early sketch. I'll just focus on the basic shape and try to follow the patterns that the hair makes and try to map out, okay, these are the dark parts, these are the highlights, just so I don't lose track when I'm shading. And try to keep everything true to life, try to keep the hair as it should be. Just focus on basic shapes and try to map out for myself where the colors would be. Or tints and shades rather than color. The guitar looks pretty awful, I say. More Zelda stuff. Some more sketch of Link, Zelda, Ganondorf. It's kind of an early sketch of Ganondorf. One of the first ones I did of him is Tears of the Kingdom design. It looks a little bit off here, but I did it a few more times. Got a little bit better, got a little bit more used to drawing him. But again, he did such a great job with the design. Definitely seeing the Japanese influence where they kind of took like a samurai approach to him in the game, which is, his design looks incredible. It's amazing how they come up with these things. Just another one of my friend. Another one of our album covers. Did a little bit better on the guitar here, I guess. And the shading. Twilight Princess. This Mario and Luigi, this little simple sketch, Mario and Luigi just looking around. Another model, just some light sketches. This little action pose here, I didn't really define this much. And I've heard a lot of artists say if you're focusing on poses, it's probably just good to not try to focus on high detail. Just get that basic shape, right? Because you don't have to take one thing, take things one step at a time, sort of, and just try to focus on a general pose. You're just trying to get that basic anatomy, trying to get that basic shape down. No need for focusing on shading or heavy details yet. Just trying to get that basic anatomy. That's kind of what I was trying to do here. As you saw in my last video, that's kind of what I was trying to focus on. Just with basic action poses, different dynamic poses, perspectives. Some more models, some different hairstyles. Trying to draw the freckles, I just try to actually be careful with the freckles and not just make it look like I was just dotting around the page randomly. But again, long flowing hair is so hard to draw, but it's really rewarding when you actually pull it off. And I've seen people do it so much better than I did. Where when I was a kid and I first when I was a bit younger, first tried to try drawing hair like this, I would just kind of scribble. It looked pretty bad. But there's so many fine little details in the person that you just really sit down and focus. It's just amazing how intricate certain parts are. Just amazing. I always feel like I mess up on fingers too. I feel like I can never get that contrast where you can tell the separation between the fingernail and the finger. Also, sorry my voice is a little raspy. Hope that's not bothering anybody. Scared expression. Ooh, this one's pretty bad. I don't know what I was doing here, but I don't know if I made her eyes too big or the gap between her eyes too large. This is just terrible. I don't know how I managed to screw this up so badly, but this one turned out alright. Again, it's a learning process, and I am still learning. Not a pro by any means, just try to learn. I only started using Pinterest recently. They just have so many great models on here. I'm sure there's plenty of places you can find great models for sketching, for practice, but it's really nice ones I've come across. Oh, this is something I did for a friend of mine who's like a Final Fantasy VII fan. It's a line from the Final Fantasy movie, Advent Children. It says, I've thought of a perfect gift for you. I'll give you despair. And as an edit of it says, I'll give you this pear. And it's Sephiroth holding a pear. And I said, oh, well, would it be funny if it's like a Valentine's Day card? Instead, he said, I'm going to give you this bear. So, like, did a little sketch of it and sent it to him. He thought it was pretty funny. So, just there for a joke. And plus, it was the first time I've ever drawn Sephiroth, so that's pretty cool. Again, long flowing hair. I think I'm just going to stop it here. This video's gone way longer than I intended it to. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to leave a comment, like if you like this, if anybody's even going to watch this. But yeah, thanks for watching. I guess I'll see you again soon.